Have you ever been in a situation where everything looked hopeless? Where every circumstance screamed, it's over, it's impossible. But something inside you whispered, it could still happen. Maybe it's your dream job, a relationship, or even a loved one's health. But the doubts, the fear, and the 3D realities seem too overwhelming to ignore. If this resonates, keep watching. Today I'm sharing a powerful real life story that proves the law of assumption works, even when everything seems impossible. Plus, I'll break down practical steps to help you ignore the 3D, persist in your faith, and manifest the outcome you desire. Welcome to Ask Cindy, the channel where we simplify manifestation, the law of assumption, and spiritual self mastery so you can create the life you desire. If you're new here, consider hitting the subscribe and join our growing community of conscious creators. Let's dive into today's episode. Before we get into the how, let me share a personal story that changed my life and solidified my faith in the law of assumption. A few years ago, my friend's mother was on her deathbed. She had both thyroid and breast cancer, her immune system was compromised from chemo, and the doctors told her that her pneumonia would kill her. Her lung was filled about 90% full on one side, and the other was filling rapidly. They essentially gave her less than 24 hours to live. Out of desperation, or perhaps faith, she asked her daughter to call me. Her daughter thought it was delirium from the pain and medication, but she called me anyway. And when I got there, this woman looked me in the eyes with full faith, believing I could help her. I'm going to be honest with you, the circumstances were as bleak as they come. The doctors said there was nothing to be done, that the medicine, due to her compromised immunity, would kill her. Um, they had given up. They basically put her on a do not resuscitate, and they had absolutely given up. But somehow, this woman believed so strongly that I could help. And she asked me to intervene and begged me. And she looked me in the eyes and promised me. My friend had given up. She basically said, my mom is just basically going through the delirium of death. Just placate her and just do me this favor. It's her last dying wish. And just tell her you will, you know. And I had agreed to do that initially, except for the way that this woman held my hand, looked me deep in the eyes, and asked me to please try. So something within me said, don't look at the circumstances. For whatever reason, God put me here, and focus on the power within. So I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what I was doing. I was on leading and working with blind faith alone. I followed my intuition, and it told me to call on the power of the sun. So I imagined its warmth drying out her lungs, removing the fluid. In full faith in God, I assumed her healing, even though everything inside of me, every logical part of me said it was impossible. But you see, I had nothing to lose. If I did or I didn't do this, you know, I had nothing to lose. There was nowhere else to go but here. And that's when the impossible happened. Within 24 hours, and I do mean overnight, this woman ripped off her oxygen mask and told the doctor she was healed and that she could walk home. She was staying, for those of you that are familiar with the DC area, she was staying in the Bethesda Navy Medical Hospital, and she lived in Virginia, and she felt that good that she could walk home, she said. Very cute. An impossible walk even for the healthiest of people, but that's how good she felt. And you'll never believe this, but she even developed this slight sunburn-like rash on her skin, despite never having left the hospital bed. The doctors had no explanation, and neither did I. That sunburn on her skin, it was like a little bit of a sun rash, was overwhelming proof to me that my guidance had led me to this. It was an absolute certifiable miracle. It was the law of assumption. And it was proof that no matter what 3D looks like, the opposite can always be changed with faith in God within. Let that sink in for a moment. Because the story isn't just about healing, it's about proving that we are the operant power. Your circumstances are never final unless you decide they are. So, first, let's understand what 3D really is. The first step to ignoring 3D is understanding what it really is. Third dimensional reality is simply a reflection of your past thoughts, beliefs, assumptions. It's a mirror. Just like my friend's mother's situation, the 3D may look hopeless, but it's not permanent. When you react emotionally to it, you keep the old story alive. But when you focus on what you want instead, you begin to shift that mirror to reflect your new assumptions. Step two, focus on the end result. Ask yourself, if my desire were already mine, how would I feel? That's the state you need to embody. When I focus on that woman's healing, I didn't think about how it would happen. I didn't try to figure out the logistics. I simply felt the relief and joy of her well being. This is what Neville Goddard means when he says live in the end. In fact, let's try a quick exercise. Close your eyes. Imagine holding your desire in your hand. Feel its weight. Hear what others would say to you when it becomes real. Let yourself fully feel the joy and the relief of having it now. This feeling is your anchor when the 3D feels overwhelming. Return to it as often as you need. Step 3. Use affirmations to counter doubts. When doubts creep in, use affirmations to redirect your focus. For example, you can say things like, the 3D is shifting in my favor. I don't need to know how, I only need to know that it's done. My assumptions create my reality. Speak these affirmations like you mean it, with conviction. They aren't just words, they're commands to your subconscious mind. Fourth step, the most important one, detach from the how. Remember, it is not your job to figure out how your desires will manifest. Your only job is to believe that it will. Just like I could not predict that these women's lungs would heal, you don't need to know every step. Trust that God, the universe, or your highest self is working behind the scenes. Your faith opens the door for miracles. Step 5, gratitude as a bridge. Finally, gratitude is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Start each day writing down things that you're grateful for. This simple practice keeps your energy aligned with abundance and possibility. Here's the truth. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. It reminds you of what's already working in your favor, making it easier to persist in faith. To sum it up, the 3D is temporary. Your imagination creates your reality. When circumstances seem impossible, remember that they're simply old reflections and that they can be rewritten with faith and persistence. If this story inspired you, let me know in the comments what you're manifesting and which of these steps resonated the most. And if you'd like personalized guidance, feel free to visit my website at bridge2selfmastery.com to book a coaching session. Thank you for watching, and remember, you don't need to know how, it's already done. If you believe it is, I'll see you in the next episode.